Hey guys, Nick here. Shot a video, but it didn't come out. But I want to do a motivational Monday with you guys on today about go break the rules. Go break the rules. What does that mean? It means that, you can't live your life confined, always seeking to fall within the lines of what other people see. You have to begin to understand what your vision looks like and don't compromise it until you make it manifest in your life. Because here's the deal. A lot of times in my coaching, my training, my speaking, and a lot of things that I do with hundreds of people all around the world, one of the things that I see where there's two things that I notice about what keeps people just frozen and non-productive and incapable of living out their potential. The first thing is that they don't know how to think for themselves. A lot of people have the mentality of having someone tell them what they need to do and how they need to do it. And they live their lives looking for someone to give them the next instruction, right? The second thing that I notice a lot is those who can think for themselves don't trust what they see. They don't trust themselves enough to make a decision to do something, which leads to indecisiveness, which leads to analysis paralysis, which leads to not taking action, and it leads to mediocrity, unhappiness, unfulfillment, and frustration, because the things that you see and know that you would and what you know you desire in life, you can't live them out because you live your lives waiting for someone to validate it. I was working out this morning and running on a treadmill, and I was listening to my favorite song by Sam Smith. It's called Latch. And he has a line in there that says, if there are boundaries, I will try to knock them down. And I thought about that, and I was like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. I'm sitting here this weekend at this podcast movement event, and it was a phenomenal event. But I found myself, as I'm getting prepared to launch this podcast, that you start looking for what have other people done and see if the ideas that you have fit into what they've done. And I found myself doing that a lot, from selecting a name to identifying a niche to coming up with topics, right? It's like, oh, well, let me go see what everyone else is doing so I can just make sure that what it is that I see or what it is that I want to do is the right thing, right? And the more that I began to do that, I got frustrated. I felt boxed in, and I was like, this doesn't feel like me. Like, I can't do this. I found myself coming up with these flowery words and all these things. Now, despite the fact that I'm a speaker and an empowerment, motivational type person, right? I mean, it just comes out of me. I can never be labeled or boxed in, and I've been that way my entire life. People are like, so what do you do? Are you a coach? Are you a trainer? Are you a consultant? Are you a marketer? And I was like, I don't have a title, right? I don't have a title. I can't be defined or confined in one word. There's so many elements to me that I refuse to just adopt. Oh, I'm a life coach, because I'm not a life coach, right? I speak life into others, but I'm not a life coach. I don't want somebody to think that I'm like a Dr. Phil and you sit down and tell me all your problems and, we have a therapy session. I just speak life, but I'm also into entrepreneurship. I'm also into fitness. I'm also into building relationships and creating strong marriages. And so there's no way to be boxed in. And as I began to try to think about how to come up with a title for my show, or how to come up with the topics, I realized that I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it, and whether it's accepted or not, I'm not worried about, well, what if people don't listen? All I know I'm doing is I'm operating in the assignment that I know that I was born to fulfill. And it's a guy in our industry who is like the guru now, because he makes 6 figures a month. He's made over $500,000 already, or $2 million this year already. He averages about $200,000 a month as a podcaster. And so everyone is walking around wanting to replicate what he's done. The reality is he had 2 coaches that told him that what he was attempting to do would never work. And these were 2 people who had successful podcasts. They had a successful business. They were people that you respected their counsel and you respected their advice. And he chose not to follow what it is that they said that he should do. And now he's dominating this industry like a superstar because he took his vision and he aligned it. And so I want to encourage you guys, you want to start breaking the rules and start asking why. Start asking why. If you feel like you don't know how to make decisions, or that you're intimidated to make a decision, or when somebody tells you to do something, you may not feel good about what they're telling you to do, but you find yourself doing it anyway because you respect them, be okay with start saying why. Why should I do that? Why do you think I should go this way or build this kind of business or why? Because a lot of times people are stuck in tradition, right? This is the way that it's been done, so this is the way that you should do it. And the reality is, guys, the way that we flourished as a world in any level of history is because somebody saw that, nah, they don't have to do it this way. There's a whole new way of doing it, and I'm going to pursue it. And it's people like the Wright brothers, who were the first ones to try to create airplanes when everybody told them it couldn't be done. People like Roger Bannister, who he wanted to run a 4-minute mile, and they said it can never be done, but he did it anyway. People like Beyonce, when she wanted to do an album where every song had a video, and they told her it can never be done, she launched her own company, hired her own staff, put her own money up, and she did it and broke all kind of records. And I can go on and on. Tyler Perry, Oprah with her own network, even though her network suffered, is still on TV. She still got her own network. You know, it's so many things that happen in our lives that people tell us we can do and we cannot do, and we begin to conform to the opinions of others, which tends to limit our potential, because your potential lies in your vision. It's in what you see in your eye. It's in what you see when you close your eyes and you picture it in your imagination. It's those moments of inspiration where you picture yourself doing something, and it's like you're literally living it out in your mind, and you feel like you're there, and you know that, oh my gosh, this is me. But then you open up your eyes and you look around and you're like, well, that's not realistic. You know, fulfilling your potential in life is being unrealistic. Fulfilling your potential in life is breaking the rules. Fulfilling your potential in life is being dangerous. Fulfilling your potential in life is not doing what everyone else is saying and not conforming. Fulfilling your potential in life is learning how to align your decision making and take the actions according to the vision that you see. Let me share a story with you really quick before I wrap this up. I was sitting at a meeting last weekend, at a Jack and Jill meeting, and it's an organization that I'm a part of for mothers. And the mom sitting at the table with me was sharing with us about her son. We were talking, they were a couple of friends who knew her and her son were talking about how smart her son is. And she was sharing what happened this summer. He went to some kind of camp, some kind of, I don't know, it was engineering camp, science camp, whatever. But it was like an MIT, and they brought these kids in for a week or so, and they had a project for them to do where it was like a contest where they got these parts that they put together, these parts for like a plane, and they gave them the instructions on how to build it, and they were supposed to build it according to what they saw. Well, her son decided that he saw things a different way, and he didn't want to go according to what the piece of paper said. So as the guides were walking around and checking to make sure that everybody was okay, the guide walked up to him and was like, the way that you're doing this is not right. You're supposed to do it this way. And so the young man looked at him and he was like, I know. And the man said, well, do you realize you have this turned upside down? You put this here, you put that here. He was like, yes. And the guy said, well, why didn't you do it the other way? He was like, because this is the way that I wanted to do it. And so the guy shrugged his shoulders and he walked off, probably thinking, this stubborn kid, you know, a little hard head, he needs to comply, right? He probably thought that he was obstinate or rude or whatever he wanted to label the child, maybe, right? Because he didn't follow the rules. So when it was all said and done, out of all these kids came the time for them to test this plane, right? And the person who would win was a person who was able to get the plane to glide in the air the longest. So everybody did their planes, and I don't know if he was the last to go, but he was one of the last to go. When he went and put his plane up in the air and they went to test it to fly it, it glided the longest and went the furthest. And when it was all said and done, guess who won the contest? He did. Why? Because he saw things differently and he chose to break the rules. Guys, listen, I've been a rebel all my life, right? And it wasn't always in a good way. But to be honest, a lot of it was because I didn't see life the way other people saw it, and I would question it, and I would get in trouble as a kid for asking why, or questioning, you know, why should authority of why do I have to do it this way? And it got me in a lot of trouble. And the older that I've gotten, I've realized that I've always saw I wasn't wrong. It was just that I was challenging a traditional way of doing things, and people don't like you to challenge them. People don't like you to challenge them. And now I own that, right? I own being a rebel with a cause, not in a disrespectful way, but I'm a rebel. A rebel fights against something, right? And that's why a lot of people don't like the term rebel. But it really is okay if you're fighting against something that goes against who you are. I fight against any mediocrity. I fight against any being typical. I fight against being normal. I fight against blending in. I fight against doing things the way everybody else does it because that's the way that they do it. And as a result of that, it's gotten me to where I am today, where people are trying to figure out, how did you do it? I did it by asking why. And I did it by not listening to what everybody said because they said it. I did it by doing my own work of going to do the research to see, all right, they said don't do it this way, but let me see why I should do it this way. And if it didn't fall in alignment with the vision that I had, I did not do it. And so I want to say to you today, guys, you know, if people tell you that you can't do something, that your marriage will never work, is falling apart, that your kids, it's a lost cause, you need to let them go, that you're not smart enough to accomplish this, or you don't come from the right side of town to be able to do this, or whatever it is that people try to tell you to do, you look and then you go out there and you show them that it can be done. So I'm going to wrap this video up. It was pretty long, but Nicole Cooper here, and check me out at Nicole S. Cooper fan page. You have a great and awesome Monday, guys. Bye-bye.